It's on time. Peace, love, and prosperity.
Just burn
Peace.
some sage right
Yeah,
quick.
peace, love, and prosperity. You can speak while I do this. It's all good. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go crack the window so you can begin to speak. And we give all fortunate love and compassion and forgiveness and power to all those who respectfully show us and gain any kind of connection.
In any form or manner. Thank you, everyone who's decided to tune in with us today. I greatly appreciate it. Today's subject is we all have angels and they walk among us. And I know some of you, just based upon experience, can be able to say how true that is. So
I didn't see those come up in my thing.
What?
If you had.
Oh yeah, no. So when I was scheduling something, it was moving so slow to the point that when I got finished, I only had enough time to change my clothes.
Okay. You want to send it from your phone or somewhere?
Oh no, I just didn't write them in general.
Oh, okay. All is well.
It's all right though, because
All is well.
like you said, it doesn't need to be so question dependent anyway.
Yeah, indeed, because it's a process.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
So the purpose of this live today is based upon an experience that I learned about the other day. Of course, I'm gonna let him share because it's his experience. But just the fact that I know there are some of you, based upon your own experiences, and being able to say that there was an angel at one point of your life, or at multiple points to your life, that was able to come and assist you in some form or manner, be able to teach you something that you needed to get for a long time.
So, yeah, it's indeed the truth. I've experienced it I've had several experiences of, angels visiting in my experience. So
the one we're going to be starting out with is the one that's most recent.
Yeah. I mean, definitely not about to tell them all, but the one that's most recent is, okay, so first of all, let me share something. I had been going on a few different podcasts, just sharing, what I feel about the quantum and the astro, and just, sharing my own experience, not scientifically claiming anything for anyone else, but just sharing what I have experienced and what I know to be factual for me myself. So but at the same time, I realized all of these podcasts that I went on were very high vibrational people, and we were sharing a lot of experiences in terms of love and raising the vibration. And we agreed to that in intention and will, and we commanded that that's what would happen as we, we did. But I had 3 or 4 different podcasts that I got on. I'm just saying all that to say that, we were talking about summoning the angels and talking about how we were, all connected some kind of way to higher source, and you can call it whatever, ancestors, angels, the councils, the ancients, whatever you want to call it. You can call it, so many things. But I had, when my mother made her transition, we all of us have already been doing the spiritual thing and really, really connecting to feeling the energy of the elders. But, when my mom made a transition, it's like she really tapped me into being able to understand, like overstand and hear and feel the energy when it comes, because all of my relatives prior to her that have, pretty much made a transition, the ones that I was very, very connected to, have been communicating with me since they made a transition. I understand that now. It's just the thought about them and the things that I would think about them is really them projecting thoughts to me about what I'm thinking. It's just that, after I understood that, I really started paying attention to detail of what I'm actually hearing or thinking in my own, intuition or thoughts or whatever. But all that to come to this, she tapped into something. She gave me this thing that just I recognize more higher vibrational energy and all. But I was out at my goddess and I, her mother, and we were at grocery store, and I was standing in line waiting. We were in the self checkout, so my back was turned. I was standing there with my goddess, and something I felt something like literally feel like it tapped me on my back, on my shoulder. So I turned around to see, and I saw a gentleman, an older gentleman, that was short in stature, but he looked like a male version of my mom, like sincerely a male version of my mom. I'm talking about from spirit on to physical. He just short hair looked like exactly how my mom looks, especially at her age before she made a transition. So I was thinking, oh, thank you, mom, for giving me that, because I always get messages from her and I just, feel the energy. So I looked at it like that. But when I turned back around for maybe 30, 45 seconds and I felt the energy to turn around again, but more so to turn around. I turned around and at that time he grabbed his head and he was coming through the line and he had just finished purchasing his things. And I saw somebody bag his stuff up because they saw bag his stuff up for him because they saw that he was moving a little slow. And then I recognized he was the only melanated man there, not to make it any difference, but I realized he wasn't with anyone. He was by himself, and he was an older gentleman. And I saw him do his head, and I saw him grab his neck. And I don't know him. I don't know him like that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't. He's a stranger, so I don't know if he just that's the thing. But he was looking very different when he, like I pay attention to detail when it comes down to elders and all of these different things. I pay attention. Thank you. I pay attention, and this was something that moved my spirit. So I saw he started walking. They told him, "Hey, your stuff is right there in the buggy," because they put it in the buggy for him. And then he came. He was walking down, and I'm just standing there. I'm still over a lane over, just looking at him. And he kind of stumbles up, and he sits where the basket, where the bags are, where you sit, and we pack the bags. He sits right there and he's like holding his head and he's doing this. So I go over there and I'm like, sir, and and already I'm doing my intentions of love and healing, because when I see stuff like that, I automatically go into this mode of like, I feel like I'm supposed to fix something, and it's just a thing that comes into my heart, not just especially when it's called on me like that, because like I said, he looked like my mom, and it wasn't no coincidence that I'm there, he's there, looking around, he's by himself. So I come over there and I'm already doing my chi, doing my, my intention, my will of command, and pulling that power down from Reiki and all kind of sources of power, just using what every one of us has. And I said, sir, are you okay? And I put my hand on him because I'm doing rubbing my hands and I've done a couple of mudras. And by the time I touch him, I'm like wanting to pass, power to him, some love power. And I said, sir, you okay? And I start kind of rubbing his shoulder, like, you okay, sir? I saw you, kind of looking a little, and he was like, yeah, I got dizzy and my neck's really hurting me. I said, is that something that normally happens? He's like, no, it's never happened before. I said, well, take it easy for a minute. And then the people who worked there was asking, is he okay or whatnot? Because at first they was trying to get him to rush through the line because there was a lot of people waiting and they were attempting to rush him. And when I came over there, I kind of slowed that down because I see people are different these days. People are real different. They're so fast and they're not paying attention to really the detail of things. And this person was going through something, and most people didn't even recognize it. They were just so busy trying to get him out of the way. And it just came to my heart. I'm grateful that was present. But as I'm talking to him, one of the employees come over and he gets on his walkie-talkie. I was like, this man is having an issue. I said, sir, would you like him to call 911? He was like, nah, I don't want to go to the hospital or nothing like that. He said, well, no, the paramedics, they won't take you to the hospital. They'll give you an opportunity. They just want to check you out. And he was like, no, I don't want to do that. And seconds after that, some off-duty paramedics and a firefighting team came in, firefighters, but they had a paramedic with them. And they walked over and I asked the employee, I was like, well, why don't you go get them? He's like, no, I can't bother them guys. We don't, I was like, dude, they're human beings. Like, they're human beings. They are, that's what they do for a living. And they're not going to turn you down because they're in between coming to the store. If they have an incident at the store, they're by law and not even tripping, they would help. And so he was like, no, I don't want them. I don't want them. So he was like, and then the man is not asking for help. I was like, okay, well, sir, you okay? And he was still dizzy. He got up. He said, no, I want to go. And he grabbed his buggy and he stumbled again. So I helped him sit back down because he was not oriented. He was disoriented, really, really, clearly disoriented. And I was like, so you sure we don't, you know what? I said, because they're right there. I can get them and get them to just look at you. He was like, nah. And he stood up again. He was like, if you could just help me to my car. I was like, you really want to drive like this? And he was like, well, he said, I'm really okay. I said, but you said it never happened. I said, do you have somebody I can call? He said, no, I don't have nobody. That I live by myself. And He started looking just, he's an older man. He was, I don't know if he moves slow like this generally, but most old elders move slow. But he was moving slow. He picked it up when he got outside and he was walking much faster. He got more coherent, and I was, holding his arm and attempting to get him back because he couldn't remember where his vehicle was. He did remember coming out and seeing straight down that it was down there. He told me what type of vehicle it was. He said it was a Honda pickup truck, but I personally wasn't familiar or just remembered about the Honda pickup truck. So I'm looking, I say, are you talking about an SUV? He said, yeah, if you want to call it that. It's like, but it's the Honda that's really a pickup truck, but on the side it looks like the Avalanche, the Chevrolet Avalanche. It's got the little bed on it, but it's still a pickup truck. So all the way almost at the end of the parking lot, I walked him down there, and he got down there. He was looking for his keys. He couldn't find them. I said, and he was like disoriented. He was patting all up here looking for his keys. You know what I'm saying? Unless he had them on a chain or something. I said, do you keep them in your pockets? And he's, oh yeah. He reached down for his pockets and he found his keys, and he got in his vehicle. That at that time, my wife, my empress, she's standing there. She's like, do I need to go get the paramedics? And I say, feel your heart, feel your heart. He's saying the whole time, no, I'm feeling better. And he's sitting there. When he gets in the vehicle, a song comes on, and I can't remember the name of the song, but it's a song that's very, very known. And they say in the lyrics, I had a lot of fears and I wasted all those years, and now I'll keep going on. That's the name of that song. I'll keep going on. That's that song. I remember. And he sat there and he was coming. He was patting his legs and he was singing along with it. And it so happened that he was saying that part that says, I wasted all those years. He started singing that part. And I was looking at him, and because I've had experiences with elders in my own experience, I'm just feeling the spirit just flowing through me and him. And just I had all kind of emotional thoughts. I had all kind of downloads. He lost his wife, and that he was just living by himself, and he's just waiting for the day. And it's just because he wouldn't accept no help. He wouldn't, like he, wouldn't. But my goddess, my empress, she was like, she went and got the firefighter. So I held him there long enough for him to talk to me. And another song came on right after that. And he was like, I like this song. I said, would you please listen to it? Just sit here and just get more, aware. He's like, no problem. And he put his vehicle back in park. And then he said he listened to the song, and he looked at me, and his eyes looked like, this is when I recognized him as an angel. He looked at me and he said, he was sitting back in the seat. He looked up at me. He said, thank you so much. And we said, thank you for being here. And he said, he says something else, but that was what stood out to me. He said, I appreciate you so much. And I'm okay. I'm okay. He sat back and he was just patting his legs, listening to the music. And then he was about to leave. And I said, well, sir, you sure you ready to leave? He was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm ready to go. And everything's good. And I appreciate you. I appreciate you. And then by that time, the firefighter had walked up and he was like, sir, had his window up. He's backing up. He's like tapping the window. Excuse me, sir. I don't mean to bother you, and I know you're free to go, but these people were here kind of concerned about you. He said, yeah, I had a little spell, and I really appreciate them helping, but I'm good now. He asked him a few questions, and he passed the test, and the guy said, I can't make him stay. He seemed, okay, and, he let him leave. And so I'm like still in my heart like, man, but I put it just like this. I say, I did exactly what I was supposed to do in sight of me recognizing this was an angel. I know the protection got to be on angels, got to be on protection, on showing up at any time for me to be able to recognize and do anything. And those tests, my mom would throw a curveball. She know I ain't gonna flunk no test like that. She gonna look like him too. You know what I'm saying? She know I'm not gonna flunk no test like that. Because if anybody got any kind of issue that I can recognize, because it's just in my heart to help people. You
She
know what
knew
I'm
that.
saying? Yeah, she
She
knew
knows
that.
that.
She knew that. She's helping me helping me with my crown. You know what I'm saying? She's helping with my power, no doubt. She was helping me with my power. That's what I look at it like. She was confirming my existence here and knowing that I know what I'm supposed to be doing. But I'm gonna give you confirmation. Pay attention because we're gonna show up. My grandmother did the same thing early on. You know what I'm saying? By making sure I knew that there was no death. I'm gonna go to sleep with a smile on my face and just listen. I never stopped hearing her voice, just like right now, like just right now. You know what I'm saying? I feel so confirmed and I'm so grateful. But still, I had some reservations. and I'm still feeling in my heart, oh, all is well, all is well. But still the empathic part of me is still like, man, I will for him to get home. And right before that, I got a text. Now earlier, before I even came to the store, I had to go to pick up some packages. The packages weren't there, but they were en route. I couldn't wait, so we went on to the store, and I was just gonna come on back to where we reside at. Right after that happened, I got a text saying package arrived. So since I was still in the area, I was like, you know what, I might as well go back and get the packages. So I went back, and the way I normally go, I go this way, and lo and behold, when I get halfway there, now this man gave me his address too, because I asked him what is his address, because I wanted to see. I was going to ask him if he wanted me to drive him home, let my goddess follow me. Let me let my wife follow me, and I, pretty much, you know, just get him to the house. He was like, "No, I'm good. I don't want to inconvenience you." I was like, "It's no inconvenience," but I could tell he was reserved. He's the type of person that don't need that. And Dennis the angel don't need me no more like that. I mean, they're protected, but I'm not necessarily tapping into that until this. As I'm going back to the place for the packages, now I got this message after the fact. I'm going back to the place. How about from a whole different direction? Here he comes driving in front of me, and I was concerned if he was even able to drive, but he drives in front of me, and I get like right behind him, and I look at my phone, and I was telling my wife, yeah, he told me his address, and it wasn't that far. It was like 7.2, but we had already driven about 5 miles. And then I looked at my phone, and my GPS was on. It's like, no, my GPS, my directions were on, and they were on right when I got behind him. It's like my GPS came on. I did not turn my GPS on, but it was on to his address, because I put it in earlier to see how far he was, to see where, exactly where he lived at, because I know he told me his address, and he, just to see if how coherent he was, coherent he was. So when I was doing that, it's like I had such the confirmation. I got behind him, and he was swerving a little bit, and I asked my guy, I was like, "You think I should follow him?" He was like, he was like, she was like, "Well, do what you feel in your heart." And then I got to the light, and when I looked at the GPS, he was point 0.8 miles from home, like straight down. So he had literally made it home, and I had such a sigh of relief, and I started kind of tearing up because I knew what it was. You know what I'm saying? I knew exactly what it was. And I'm just saying, pay attention, because you get these opportunities, and I don't know what comes from that other than I know that if I'm given the opportunity, I'm looking for them. I'm looking for them in all forms, all fashions, whatever we can do to show love. That raises the vibration. I know I'm having something to do with it, even in that. I'm not saying, we don't get the opportunity. Well, we do get the opportunity, but we can't say we're doing it all the time, because sometimes we get into our zones and whatnot. We're not necessarily taking away, but we're definitely not adding if we're not putting forward too. So I'm just saying, I know being higher vibrational, paying attention to those energy fields around you, and just keep tapping in so you can hear it. Because that's what's happening. It's really, really happening that way. You know what I'm saying? Because he confirmed it. And then all that day, I'm serious. I caught every light, and I don't normally have to drive. I drive, but my goddess drives for me sometimes, So I just get a chance to just, do work or get the calls and stuff in. But it's this day I drove, and I made all the lights. I was paying attention to that because I was just like, wow. After I made like 5 lights, I'm like, this. I'm just gonna see, like, I'm making a lot of lights, and I literally made all the lights, and it was like, I think I stopped counting at 14, and then I got on the freeway or something. And I don't know. After that, I was just in a daze, like, wow, thinking of all the ways that, we are given opportunities to really see the process in motion and know that this is really what it is. These ancestors, the angels, the tribes, the what you call it, the guides, the 12 count, the council of 12, whoever you want to call it, the creator of all these things, that everything, the one of all, that everything attached to it that is here to make balance in this experience is really available to us. Just do what you can to show love. Just do that. Recognize that nobody's actually dying. Nobody's dying. They going forth to give you power, especially when you know that you are the source of the power that is here. You know what I'm saying? You're one with the oneness that is the oneness of everything. You know what I'm saying? With the power to do any and everything. So I'm grateful for the opportunity, for the experience, and for her to even like, we need to do a cast, and she, just to share that, because those angels showing up for my mom been showing up for all of them in their
Mhm.
own different ways. And I
Mhm.
got proof because I grew up with the lady, and I know they grew up with her all their life, and I grew up with her all my life. So it's like they get to identify the same vibrational pass through that the mother gave her and her mother and her sisters, and who was passed down through us. And I'm so grateful that I've been in this position to share with mine and give them the best that I know to give them, and that's the truth of what I know, and give them the freedom to figure it out. If there's anything bigger or more awakening to them, they have access to it, because I put no bonds on their brains, on their ability to, to create and to think whatever they choose, and to know that it's just a process. We're creating as we go, and as long as you stand in the present now, you don't have to be concerned about if you're doing it wrong, because you're always doing it right if you do it the way you do it, even if you stumble. Because you stumble, that means you did it right, because you get to learn from it. If you win, you did it right, because you get to have a good an experience from it and learn from it as well. How to continue to do it right, how to feel the feeling of both. When you don't do it right, or you feel like you lost, if you could take that and channel it, I'm sure one of these processes of the angels, or some entity of power that loves you, will give you some ability to get out of whatever situation. Just be grateful. Be grateful. Recognize and be responsible for you as creation, and then everything's good. It works that way. It works. It's
Mhm.
been working out more and more for me. I know that. And I'm just gonna keep on expressing it by action, and just letting it play out. Because that's that was just so rewarding to me. I feel like I'm 10 feet 10. You know what I'm saying? For real, because that really just that put something in my spirit that made me know that, yeah, just pay attention to detail. And it might not look like a relative, but it's gonna feel like familiar energy. It's just that I know what I'm going through, right? I know what I'm summoning right now. I know when I do astral projecting techniques, or my personal rituals and things of that nature. I know what I'm willing and commanding to achieve. I know that. So for these responses to come to me personally are just confirmation for me. People get them different ways, and I know we all take my word for it. I've gone through a lot of guided type, things, learning a lot of different modalities and everything. And it's when I took realize that most of them the same after I get certified, start using them with people and see how people are affected. Some people are not affected by all of them, but some people are affected by one or more of them. Because I've been fortunate to do a lot of them, I kind of combine them, so you don't really know which one it is. It's just I'm just using the spirit of having the wisdom of knowing whatever I got from that, just let it flow through at the time it's needed forever, who because it's going to be for whoever gets it anyway. Whoever don't get it, I'm not meant for them to get it through me. But I realize that it is what it is. So I take full responsibility for me as creation and what I have to offer in terms of that. And I know, yeah, everybody's got it though. We got it. So let's go. Let's go. Let's be grateful for it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Let's be grateful for it and receive what it is we're supposed to receive. And thank you for the opportunity to share that, because I want to share more, because I know it's going to come up at another time, but this was I wanted to do it here first,
Yes,
because
sir.
it's an expression. We spoke about it, and I didn't speak about it for a day until a day after it, because I resonated, I was resonating with it and realizing how powerful that experience was. Because for me, it was just one of those powerful experiences. It wasn't coincidence. I wasn't even on the. I was in a whole different area. You know what I'm saying? That I'm normally in. You're where you're supposed to be exactly when you're there, when you know that you're supposed to be there, and you just be there and be how you're supposed to be when you get there, and do what you're supposed to do when you get there. Feel your way, because all you got to do is pay attention to that. you
Mhm.
know all is well.
All
All
is
is
well.
well. So thank you for again.
Thank
So
you.
anything you like to say? I'm all the way live. I'm good though.
Yes, sir.
Thank you again.
Anybody who's decided to tune in and pay attention, whether you're live or whether you're watching this live or watching the replay. We appreciate it from the very bottom of our hearts and the depths of our soul for you taking the space in your experience to be able to listen and potentially even learn something that you can take with you into another experience of your own and then be able to assist somebody else in one way or another, because either way it's going to be rewarding for them and for you in a lot of ways that I can say for sure.
Indeed, well said. Well, thank you again. Fortunate vibrations, positive and prosperous vibrations to everyone who comes into contact with my frequency in any way, by sight, by sound, by thought, by any action you've seen or felt. All is well. Much
All's well, and
love,
so
much
it
love,
is.
love. Thank you again.
You're very welcome.